This video is to act as an introduction to metric units and why we use them in science and how we use them and their prefixes and whatnot. Take, for example, distance. Distance affords us a rather large problem. If you are in the United States and you're driving somewhere, you may say, I went 1 mile. But if you drive across the border into Canada, they will instead say you drove 1 kilometer or 1 kilometer. They're both units of distance, but they don't mean the same distance. 1 kilometer is not 1 mile. A mile is longer. A mile is 1.6 times longer than a kilometer. Kilometers are smaller. So it can create confusion within groups that are trying to communicate with each other if they don't use the same units, or you have to memorize about how big a mile is compared to a kilometer, or about how big a gram is compared to 1 pound, or an ounce compared to a milliliter. Having to memorize these conversions would make science almost impossible. So within science and in many countries as a whole, we use metric units. Okay. And what metric units do is they have base units. For distance, it's the meter. For temperature, it's degrees Celsius. For volume, it is the liter, L-I-T-R-E. For mass, it is the gram. And then they use these units to explain everything. In the United States, if you talk about distance, you go an inch to a foot to a yard to a mile. And they don't make any sense. It's times 12 to get to a foot, then it's times 3 to get to a yard, and then it's times 1,000 some odd to get to a mile. So there's no consistency within the system. If you started with a gram and you wanted to take it up a notch, okay, you could say you have 1,000 grams, and you could write that out as 1,000. Or you could say that you have 1 kilogram. If you had 1,000,000 grams, you'd say you have 1, let's see, let me make that clear, megagram. If you had 1,000,000,000 grams, 1,000,000,000,000,000,000, that'd be 1 gigagram. And you can go the other way if you want to get smaller, because clearly you get something smaller. This is about the weight of a paperclip. And clearly you could have something that weighs less than a paperclip. So if you get smaller, say you have 1,000th of a gram, 0.0001 grams, we would call that 1 milligram. If you had a millionth, 1,000,001, that would be 1 microgram. And if you had 1 billionth, 0,000,000, 1,000,000,000, 0,000,000,000,000, that would be a 1 nanogram. And to make life even easier, you can abbreviate all of these to say 1 gigagram, 1 megagram, 1 kilogram, 1 gram, 1 milligram, 1 nanogram. Now take a pause at the microgram. You see we have 3 M's. We got mega, milli, micro. Mega is a capital M because it's big, million. Milli is a small m because it is small, 1,000th. And micro is so small that we give it a special letter, the Greek letter mu, which just looks like a U with a tail in the front. That's to be 1 microgram. So you can write out all this number means exactly the same thing as this, exactly the same thing as this. It just saved me 9 zeros. So it's a place saving maneuver. If you wanted to write it back in terms of grams, well, this is a billionth. So if you count how far you'd move the decimal, scientific notation: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 1 e to the negative, not negative g, e to the negative 9 grams. This is, by the same token, 1 e to the negative third grams. This is 1, oopsie, 6. Those aren't crazy. 6 grams. This is 1 e to the negative third grams. This is just 1 gram. This is 1 e to the positive third grams. 1 e to the sixth grams. 1 e to the ninth grams. Now remember that when you have an e, it simply means, that's the same as writing, times 10 to the. So this right here is the same as writing 1 times 10 to the negative ninth. And it just simplifies life when we're writing all this out, because now I eliminated all of this and wrote it in E. It all means exactly the same thing, but it keeps life simpler because it's only one letter. You may see it written either way. You need to be familiar with both, okay? But you need to know all these standard prefixes. You need to know all of the scientific notations that would attach to them, so you can easily convert between units within the base. So you can change from a kilogram to a microgram, from a gigagram to a megagram. You need to know all these unit prefixes. And in the next video, we will start talking about how to convert between units.